This is Suit Up Sports. Suit Up Sports. Where opinions are as sharp as a tailored suit. No fluff, no gimmicks, just unfiltered, hard-hitting takes on sports and a whole lot more. It's time to suit up. Now here's your host, DJ the Suit Stout.
Today's Suit Up Sports is brought to you by Neogenics, Charlotte's #1 when it comes to stem cells and regenerative therapy. I'm not saying that because that's what I'm supposed to say. I'm saying that because I've lived it. So is Frank. Nico over at Neogenics is taking care of us. I've had stem cells in my arm. I've had it in my knee. I've had it in my shoulder. You've had it in your back.
Buddy, you ain't lying when you're talking about Neogenics as a life support for us as older guys. Weekend warriors.
Yep.
If you're looking to, kind of replenish your body and get that 30-something filled back, Neogenics is the place for you. I know a lot of Panther players used it. I used it. Got my lower back done.
Yep.
And the best thing about them, buddy, is that they will tell you exactly what it is that you need to do, and they might not be able to help you.
And if they can't treat you, they won't treat you.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's any nagging joint pain, shoulder, neck, back, knees, any of those things, they'll treat it. They do stem cells, they do PRP, and like Frank said, they do a lot of athletes from Thomas Davis to Harold Varner Jr. to Matt Doherty, and I can go to Tony Womack, baseball all-star. It works, and they're honest, like Frank said. Some of their competition they'll treat you just to take the money, whether they know it's going to work or not work. These guys are only going to work with you if they know they can help you. 704-727-6551. That's 704-727-6551 or neogenicstemcells.com. You see it on the bottom scroll of our show, neogenicstemcells.com. Tell them DJ and Frank sent you.
Check them out, bud.
Welcome to Suit Up Sports. I'm DJ the Suit Stout, along with 10-year NFL vet Frank Garcia and college national champion Frank Garcia. Frank, how you doing?
I'm doing good, and we have a big night tonight ahead of us. What a great weekend of football with some of the playoff games, some controversies that we got to get into. But as you see me kind of scratching my face and
that's right,
getting myself nice and
got
pretty.
A little blame.
You might have a little drink here and there, but that's what the national championship looks like about 30 years ago. So 34 years ago. Good Lord.
As sweet as that ring is, the rings have gotten a hell of a lot bigger these days, haven't they?
Oh, they have.
My God.
They've become gaudy, and
that's the way I would like it right there.
That nice, clean ring from the undefeated national champs, where we just so happen to share back with Miami. We were both undefeated, 12-0, and we had beaten the Michigan Wolverines with Desmond Howard in that 91 Rose Bowl, 91-92 Rose Bowl. And the Hurricanes, went on to have an undefeated season as well. And then a couple of years later, we got an opportunity to play them my senior year. But,
And you beat them in Miami, right?
We beat them in Miami. They had a 56-win home streak. And I'm sure we can get into that.
Oh, yeah.
You can ask me some questions about
no question.
What it's like to play down there in Miami. And, that was the old Orange Bowl, and the game's gonna be in a little different place, but still the same weather, same type of environment, and what a great opportunity for both of those teams.
Yeah, we'll get into that game here in a little bit. Happy Martin Luther King Day to everybody. I know a lot of people are off of work. Frank and I doing the podcast and doing some work today, but hopefully you enjoy your day off if you've got one. But let's start with the NFL playoffs. Like you said, we saw some really good games, and then we saw a couple stinkers, but controversy kind of was the word of the weekend. Let's start with the first game where the Bills go to Denver to take on the Broncos. Broncos had a bye week. They've got a great home crowd, tough place to play. You've talked about, how hard it is even to catch your breath, in the second half there. And it was a hell of a game. Josh Allen, not his best game. I think he had 4 turnovers, if I'm not mistaken. But it really comes down to a couple calls, one in particular when the Bills are already in field goal range, long field goal range, they throw a deep ball to Cooks that would have put him in an easy field goal range.
This is in overtime.
No, this was in regulation. That game was regulation, remember?
Okay.
So Cooks.
It was last second. They would have won the game. It went into overtime, right?
Yep. And Cooks catches it, goes to the ground with the defender. Defender comes up with the ball. Look to me like a catch, look to you like a catch, look to most people like a catch. The referees say it's an interception, really don't even stop the game to take a better look at it, which is what Sean McDermott bitched about after the game. By the way, he got fired today. So that play probably cost him his job. But what a heartbreaking way to end your season when, you're Buffalo and you're fighting. And Josh Allen, even though he made a bunch of mistakes, he also made some unbelievable plays. But here we go again, especially in the NFL with the referees having to insert themselves at some point. There's no consistency from game to game. We saw 2 more plays this weekend after that game that were very similar to the call they called against Cooks and that interception that went the other way to benefit the receiver. And, you and I have complained about this. When you're a Panther fan, which I know a lot of you are, we rarely get the benefit of the doubt from an officiating crew. We saw what happened to us against Tampa last game of the year. But if you're a Buffalo fan, with all the heartbreak you've had with losing 4 Super Bowls and the list goes on, to go on the road for the second straight week, to give Denver all they can handle and to have the refs, call that an interception and really not even appear to take a long look at it. That's just would piss me off.
Yeah. I mean, and Bills fans right now, I know several of them, I coach with several of them. We were kind of texting back and forth as we were sitting here talking, through that game as well. And, the Bills, this was their shot. This was their year. No Mahomes, he's out.
No Lamar
Jackson, he's out. Kind of been, the 3 top dogs of the AFC over the last, several years. And, having them out and Allen sitting right at the top of the throne with an opportunity to go out and do it, I believe that's more the reason why McDermott is gone than just that one play.
Right.
There was multiple opportunities within the years.
That's true.
And that play was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back because it didn't put them in position to win that game when Josh Allen didn't play his best. And that's a sign of a good team, winning games when you don't play your best. And you give credit to Denver for hanging in there. Obviously, they have a Hall of Fame coach on their sideline. They have a quarterback that played well enough, athletic enough in Denver. Defense is pretty good. I think they're probably the 3rd or 4th best defense left in the NFL, to play. The Patriots aren't given enough credit. But, talking about that game, Josh Allen didn't play his best. And afterwards, he was shook up because he just doesn't make those mistakes in big moments. And he made some great throws, but he made some bad ones. And, turning the ball over is what ended up, costing them that game. But that play in particular with Cooks, we've seen that happen multiple times. And I think the problem, that lies is as fans watching the game, they have criteria that you look at. There's 3 different criteria: making a football play, coming down, surviving the ground.
Yeah.
All the things that they have to generate what it is that equals a catch. And to me, every one of those criteria were met on that play, especially when you see other teams around the league or them earlier in the year or years in previous, coming up with a 50-50 catch, finding landing on the ground and rewarding them the ball. You look at the Patriots game, in that game alone, they caught the ball, same type of thing. Knee falls, defender rips out after knee falls, doesn't survive the ground. Yeah. Ball comes out, goes to the sideline. Initially, they call it, one way. They go back and look at the instant replay. They debate about it. They talk about it. No, he had possession. He hit his knee, and he was ripped out after that.
Yeah.
Right. I knew when that happened. To me, that's what a catch is, right? Because we've seen that year after year and play after play. You catch the ball, you come on the ground, you're down.
Play's over.
Right? Should be, right? Unless defender rips it out. But the problem is that sometimes when nobody touches them and they catch the ball, they hit the ground and the ball hits the ground, it's a fumble. Is that a catch or is it not a catch? You have to survive the ground, right?
Yeah.
But with the defender ripping out of it, right? Because the defender touches you, you're down.
Yeah.
As soon as you touch your knee, that defender touches you, you're down. You don't have to survive the ground, right? So there's so many nuances with what is a catch, what isn't a catch. But that, to me, he had possession. He comes down on the ground. He hits They roll, and as they roll, you can see the defender ripping the ball out and coming out with it. But the play would already have been dead because you're down.
Yeah.
You had possession.
Yeah.
So that cost the Bills an opportunity to move on and advance, where I think they would have beaten the Patriots personally. You go on to the rest of that game, and you see Denver in overtime find a way to get it done, go win the game, but lose their quarterback. And the NFL right now is kicking themselves in the head because all they had to do in that play with Cooks was take some time to go review it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, if I'm McDermott, I am losing my mind on the sideline.
Yep.
He did everything he could. He called timeout. He wanted them to review that, right? There's going to have to be rule changes because of that play, DJ.
Yep.
And I think they're coming very soon, because if you don't have that, you are going to lose, because not just the fans of the Bills are calling the referees out for that. It's not just the referees. This is the NFL, because they have an opportunity to look at those plays with their setups.
And they said they did in New York, and that was what they came to. But
absolutely not.
Just
There's no way they could have
the
looked.
optics on it
Right.
look horrible.
There's no way in New York they had time to look at that play and make that decision like that.
Yeah.
Right. That's a play that requires, different angles. It requires seeing when he had possession, when he was down. There's a lot of different things, and they should have at least given the time to make all of those considerations available, right? So it gives the optics that they're really studying that. And then whatever their explanation is, they can use that. But you can't use that explanation and then tell us 2 seconds later that the same play happens in games on Sunday and it's not a catch.
Yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. And then to make that game even crazier was Broncos go down, 53 yards of penalties versus the Bills on the last drive. I think you could say
there wasn't 53 yards in the entire game, and all of a sudden the referees start getting flag happy and move the ball down the field for the Broncos on 50-50 balls. The one interception or the one pass interference was bogus.
Yep.
I'm not going to sit there and say that it still wouldn't have been a penalty with the roughing the passer. It was absolutely roughing the passer, but that would have put them 15 yards, not 45 yards closer to a field goal, where the Bills still had an opportunity to defend and slow them down and extend the game.
Yep. Well, Bo Nix brings them down the field with help of those penalties. They kick a field goal to win the game.
No, the referees brought them down.
Referees certainly helped.
Down that field.
But with that being said, about 20 minutes after the game, we're tuning in to the next game and the 49ers and the Seahawks, and we get news that Bo Nix had broken his ankle in overtime and is now out for the season. So
we're sitting here wondering, when did that happen?
When did it happen? Like during his interview after the game, he seemed just fine. He was walking around. We went back and watched a lot of the video and saw.
There's been a lot of speculation on when that happened, how it happened, and things like that. And because it happened and he continued to play, we thought it was the last play of the game, which it wasn't. It was when he rolled out, threw the ball down the field, and planted and turned and twisted. He broke his ankle. You could see him look down, but still kind of jog it off. I'm going to tell you this, DJ. I don't know if you can really describe the amount of adrenaline that is required to run through your body to play this game, right? Pain, the thought of pain leaves your mind. And really you learn how to manage your mind to deal with that pain. The adrenaline obviously helps, but I mean, you see this finger right here? I mean,
yeah.
I snapped it. It was looking like that. You know what I did? I went, got a trainer. They pulled it back and brought it back. If I'm sitting here like right now, my finger goes like that, I'm going to be screaming and going nuts.
No doubt.
I didn't even feel when it happened in practice. And it was in practice when it happened, because your body is so filled with adrenaline that you don't feel pain. You don't feel pain. I've broken bones, right? Where normally you'd be like, you can't. When you're doing it in real life, your body has that natural adrenaline rush that protects you from and overrides your brain from pain.
Well,
so that's what happened with Bo Nix. He went out there, he continued to play maybe a couple more plays. After the game, when the adrenaline comes down, you're like, oh my gosh, this shit is really hurting.
Yeah.
And it's aching and it's throbbing and it's not going away. something happened, and that's where he figured he broke his ankle.
Well, you know, Peyton said after the game when Nix came off the field, Peyton gave him like a chest bump and said, "Great job, and I'll sit here and enjoy us make this field goal." And Nix said something to the extent about, and he could tell he wasn't right, and he goes, "You all right?" And Nix goes, "Man, it's hurting really bad.
I don't know what's going on right now with my body."
He just said it's hurting really bad, and Peyton said, "Well, what's hurting really bad?" He goes, "My ankle." Mm-hmm. And so after the game, Sean does his press conference and says he comes out and they bring him in his office and he walks in.
Like, oh,
all the important people are in there and they're like,
not good.
Bo broke his ankle.
Yeah,
he's out. So tough turn for
Here's be my question. I mean, we've seen in years past, right? Guys that are larger than life today make decisions that, through all that pain, through all the things that they go through, go out and play. I'm going to give you a perfect example in a name that I would, if you're listening, you've never heard Jack Youngblood.
Oh yeah, most people have heard him.
Right. No, I mean, most people have
older demos for
right?
sure. Yeah.
But he had broken his leg the game before and goes out and plays on a broken leg and plays well in the playoffs. Ronnie Lott. They cut the man's finger off during the game so he could continue to play.
Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting that Bo Nix, I don't know what his pain tolerance is, and I don't know, where they're going to stand, and I don't know if it can get any more injured.
Well, you said that you think, at least they really haven't said clearly what his injury is, but you said that you think you had the same injury and that it would be extremely hard for him to play quarterback with that injury, even if he has a really high tolerance for pain.
I'm not sure if he thought if because of, not knowing where the pain was at, it throbs the same way. It's called a Jones fracture, and it's the fifth metatarsal. It's the outside part of your foot that when you plant and drive, like when you're rounding bases or as an offensive lineman at pulling guard and you have to cut up the field, you're putting all that pressure on that outside bone. And sometimes, over time, it's just like a used tire. It pops and it has to be replaced. Sometimes they put screws in it because of where it's at on the bone, and other times it heals on its own. You can go out there and manage the pain. But the problem is that it swells up like a grapefruit, and then, you still feel that pain. I think that if he were going to try to play through that, which I don't think they've already ruled him out.
Yeah, they ruled him out, yeah.
He would have to be a pocket passer purely, drop back and not be able to do.
And that's not where he's effective.
That's not what the Broncos do. So you're better off most likely bringing in Jarrett Stidham, letting him go out there and manage the game, try to hand the ball off, use your defense to win, and see what happens against the Patriots, because the Patriots right now are a walking turnover machine as well.
Yeah, and I will say the Patriots defense gets after your ass, and
so do the Broncos,
and so do the Broncos. And Stidham, he hasn't started, I think, since 2023. I think he's only started 4 games in the NFL. But excuse me, I can't stand Sean Payton. I respect him. I think he's a great coach. I would take him as my coach on my team anytime. I think he's a great coach, but I just can't stand his demeanor and the way he takes shots, whatever. But I thought that he handled this perfectly. He addressed it right away, took away all the questions and all that, and then put faith in Stidham right away and said, look, and I believe, look, one thing we know about Sean Payton, he knows quarterbacks. Like, he knows offense, he knows quarterbacks. He said Stidham's probably the top 3 backup in the league, and that he's probably better than half the quarterbacks in the league. So we're gonna find out.
That's a coach blowing smoke.
That's my point, though. He addressed
patting you on the back. We're riding with Stidham. He's building him up.
That's my point. Yeah. He addressed that Nix is out, and then he put the crown on Stidham. He gave him confidence. He had his back. And guess what? When they hit the building today for meetings or whatever it is on a Monday there,
it's a rallying cry. It's going to be a rallying cry. The team right now is going to, find a way to, hey, he's just a part of our team. He's another part of our team. We've seen him dice this up in practice 100 times. This guy can play. He's had a great college career. He's an able quarterback in the NFL. Just don't lose the game.
Well,
right? Just don't throw the ball into the other player's hands and hold on to
just don't pull CJ Stroud.
Right.
Don't pull CJ Stroud, because here's the thing too, Denver's running game struggles. So he's going to have to throw the ball downfield. They say that is his strength, is throwing the ball downfield. The Patriots ought to know him pretty well because they're who drafted him. So, the Patriots had him in camp for, I think, their first year or 2. Then I think he went to the Raiders or whatever. But my point is, it's kind of
irrelevant.
It is kind of ironic how Stidham, Patriots had a nice cut. Now he hasn't started in 2 years, and now he's getting a shot in the AFC Championship to bring the Broncos back to the Super Bowl. Let's move on to the next game that day with Seattle and the 49ers. This one we won't spend a whole lot of time talking about because it didn't take a whole lot of time for this game to turn into an ass whooping. Seattle, Shaheed, the receiver for the Seahawks, who they traded for at the deadline from Seattle or from the Saints, opening kickoff for a touchdown. The crowd, which was already loud, gets louder, and then the game just unraveled from there. 49ers never really could get on the right page.
Playing at home in Seattle, I've been there 100 times.
Yep.
Went to school in Washington. The stadium wasn't built. They used to play in the Kingdome. They played in Seattle, but home of the 12th man, right? And as a Panthers fan, we've been there multiple times in that new stadium. I played there for 5 years in college at the University of Washington. And I'm going to say this. There is something different about the way the air travels in that environment and that area of the country. It bounces off and it's like a dome, right? And it may be louder than a dome. I'm not sure what it is, but I've played some of the loudest games I've ever played in college at the University of Washington in an outdoor stadium with the track away against Nebraska at night. We set a record, with the decibels. Seattle has set multiple records with the decibels as one of the loudest places in the NFL.
No, the Marshawn Lynch run, 15 years ago, registered as an earthquake.
That's right. So, this is going to be, it was a loud, crazy, just fanatical environment, for the Niners and giving the Seahawks fans something more to cheer about. That opening kickoff game was over.
Yeah.
The game was over. The 49ers on defense were just beat up.
I think Shanahan squeezed as much juice as you could possibly squeeze out of that team. They were playing on a short week after having to travel to the East Coast.
Not having Fred Warner kills that in the middle.
Warner. And so, Shanahan, as far as I'm concerned, if you're a Niners fan, you got as much out of this season as you thought you could get. Still sucks, but at least
having their tight end
Kittle going down.
That's their number 2 receiver. Obviously, they use McCaffrey
really is their
as number 1.
1 or 2, yeah.
And then they bring in Kittle as the 1-2 punch, right? McCaffrey will take clearing out or Kittle clear it out. You run McCaffrey behind it, but not having that dynamic. They just lit it up and they said, hey, listen, we're going to just man you guys up and come, and you're not going to run the ball. McCaffrey didn't have many yards. They weren't successful running the ball, and they play fast. They play physical, and having the advantage of the home crowd really is an advantage for their defense.
Well, and I tell you, Sam Darnold, there was some question the day before the game that he hadn't practiced all week with an oblique. You didn't see him warming up early with the other quarterbacks. They shoot him up with Toradol, evidently, from what they said. Wait for that to set in. He's out there.
I need a Toradol shot right now.
I tell you what, he comes out, plays well, and then Kenneth Walker ran the ball like a man possessed. When Charbonnet went down, he came in and was just unbelievable. I think he had 3 touchdowns. So Seattle cruises into the next round where they'll take on the Rams. We'll talk about that game in a minute, but let's go to yesterday's early game, New England and the Houston Texans. If you're a football fan, you got to love it. Snowing, the weather's bad. Texans, arguably the best defense in the league. The Patriots, and Vrabel trying to get back to where they were for years with Brady. Drake May in his second playoff start. And this game,
Wonder Boy of the NFL,
and then it turns into a turnover fest.
Yeah.
I mean,
very sloppy.
It was a slop, and I know the weather has something to do with it, but C.J. Stroud and Troy Aikman said this on the broadcast, and you and I have talked about Troy and how I love the way that he doesn't care about what he says, whose feelings he's going to hurt. If it's ESPN's feelings,
he's just honest.
He's very honest, and
the truth hurts sometimes, right?
And he'll dump on the officiating, he'll dump on the player, and he made a statement yesterday about Stroud where he goes, "Look, I don't know what you do with him because he's been chasing his rookie year ever since his rookie year. He had a great rookie year, and he's been bad since. And so he didn't do anything to help himself yesterday. He was completely awful. He was awful against the Steelers. So the Patriots definitely got some help. But Drake May, tried to help the Texans out as well. I mean, I think he had 3 or 4 fumbles and interceptions. There was a lot of
people saying they should bench Stroud after the first half. And what do you do with Stroud?
We're on the same page with that.
We had a debate on what do you do with Stroud.
Yeah.
Listen, you're there because he's your quarterback. Obviously, the defense have played well. There's been times throughout the season where every quarterback's going to go through a slump or struggle. He's struggling right now at the worst time for the Texans. When he's not playing well, he's not making good reads. I'm not sure. I'm not going to make excuses for him, but there was a play where he got his finger hit with a helmet. It looked like the ball was coming out wobbly. He didn't have the velocity or the zip. There, I made the comment, during the game.
A lot of low throws.
He doesn't have, the ball's not coming out of his hand like it normally does. He's played in cold weather games before. He's played in the snow in Ohio State multiple times. This wasn't something new to him, where maybe it's in, the Texans playing in the Dome. All those things might have factored, the last couple of years, but there was some injuries with that.
He didn't have Nico Collins, who's one of the best receivers in the league. Then Schultz, who gets a 42-yard catch early in the game, goes out with a calf muscle. So you got to take that into consideration
and
as well.
I'm not making excuses for him. He has to play better in these moments. But you're there because if you are going to bench him, you better be willing to get ready to trade him, because you're going to take all the confidence away from anything that he had holding on to. The team, would react a lot differently to that as well. It's just not something you do, right? In that moment. After the season, you might, start having those conversations. You might look into the future. You might looking to get him some more weapons, whatever it might be. But Drake May on the other side, was equally as sloppy and bad. Four fumbles, couple of turnovers, some interceptions. The difference in that game was when the interceptions that the Texans threw, it was a pick six. When Drake May fumbles, the Patriots recover.
They recovered, I think, 2 of the 4.
They recovered the fumble, but that if the Texans recover that fumble, that towards the beginning of the game, when the ball goes backwards, they try to scoop and score, miss. They fumble on the ball. They're on the 5-yard line.
Well, remember,
right? And that game is completely different.
And remember this, and you picked it out right when it happened. Texans had a touchdown call back because the fullback didn't get his hand down in time. Just stupid Xavier Legette type of penalty that cost them a touchdown, and they ended up having to settle for a field goal. So, the whole team was sloppy. And the Patriots, again, we've talked about they've played the easiest schedule in the history of the NFL from a winning percentage standpoint. They get by last week, and Drake May doesn't look that good. They get by this week, he doesn't look that good. But the one thing that they did do, and we talked about this yesterday while we were watching the game, when Drake May did make a pass, his receivers went up and just freaking made plays.
And that's the difference, right? You look at when Stroud goes out there,
Higgins dropped it.
Well, he hits his receiver right in the hands. The ball tips up, interception, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple of plays where the receivers, he hits him right the first down at the beginning of the game, hits him right in the chest, drops the ball, right? The Texans did not handle the cold weather as a team the way that the Patriots did or the home field team did. And that was the difference in the game. You point out, you're 100% right. I forgot about the opportunity, the plays that were made by the Patriots wide receivers, the one-handed catch,
which was unbelievable
in the end zone, where he pats it to himself, lands right in his hands, catches the ball, incredible catch. The other one, as you point out, right in the middle, goes up and catches the ball with his hands. It was the same type of pass that the Texans had dropped and intercepted, by the Patriots. But that's a touchdown for the Patriots. The Patriots had better receivers. They made more plays, and that's the reason why they won the game, because the quarterbacks, in my opinion, were equally as sloppy and bad.
Yep. Well, the Patriots get to go to Denver now and take on the mighty Jared Stidham. We'll talk about that game Friday.
The NFL's kicking themselves in the butt right now, with what took place with the Denver Broncos, because it's a watchable game. The ratings, I think, would be a lot higher if you have, Josh Allen
going to
versus Drake May.
Yeah.
Right. That's a game that, there's a lot of storylines. Right now, you got Stidham and the Broncos, who don't really bring any juice other than maybe Bo Nix. They're just a boring team, really, to be honest with you. But there's no juice. There's no juice in this game right now with the Patriots going to Denver.
Well, there was a lot of juice in the nightcap last night where the Rams beat the Bears in overtime.
Oh, what a game.
A fun game to watch. Again, Caleb Williams turns the ball over a couple times like he normally does, but then he makes plays that not many, if any, other quarterback can make, including the go-ahead touchdown at the end of the game to Kmet, which was just ridiculous. He's unbelievable when he makes plays like that. He's got to stop hurting his team, which is kind of the theme of the playoffs so far. Is like when you got a defense. Now the Bears don't have this type of defense, although they played really good last night.
They scored 30 points. It wasn't a great game.
Well, for the Bears defense, they actually played pretty good. And the Rams, with Mr. MVP, Stafford, all the talk about cold weather and scuba suits these dudes are wearing or whatever, they do enough to get it done. Mevis, the kicker that the Panthers had in camp a couple years ago, who's been great for them, hits the game-winning field goal, and now that sets up a rematch in overtime, which sets up a rematch now of Rams and Seattle.
He had 2 field goals. He had to get them to overtime.
That's right.
He won it overtime.
That's right.
When the Rams needed to move the ball and score, who did they give the ball to?
Puka
Nacua, who is slowly becoming my favorite player in the NFL because he's easy to root for. He works hard. He speaks well. He's smart. He plays hard. He's explosive when he needs to be.
He can play any position.
He can play any position. He blocks. He's a good teammate. I mean, the guy just epitomizes to me what you're looking for as a teammate and a football player.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he reminds me so much of Marshall Faulk when I played with the Rams. Just does everything that's asked of, doesn't really – isn't really braggadocious about it, hands the ball to the ref, celebrates he's just a football player.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a great football player. He is an exceptional football player.
He's a difference maker.
And he's a difference maker in why the Rams are winning these games. He's unstoppable, really, because he's as big as a tight end. He knows how to use his body. He can get in and out of breaks. He has other weapons around him that alleviate some of the pressure from him. With Devontae Adams and their tight ends. But Stafford has just found that relationship that you look for in a player, that quarterback receiver type of relationship that just knows where he's going to be in the biggest moments. They went to him 3 or 4 times down the stretch on 3rd down, 4th down, and he kept drives alive, allowed them to go out there and make the game-winning field goal. But what a great game. I felt you're heartbroken for Chicago fans because Caleb Williams really didn't play that well. You thought the Rams were just kind of letting them hang around, kind of similar to what they did with the Panthers, but the Rams found a way to win these games. And that's the difference between wins and losses in this league is having been there, having a quarterback you're going to have confidence, having a head coach that you trust, knowing that in the situations aren't going to be too big,
for
them. And, I really like the Bears head coach as well. I think he's one of the
great.
He's one of the top offensive minds in the game. He has a great a quarterback with all the talent in the world with Caleb Williams. We've seen it. The play that he made at the end of the game or the end of the regulation, with about a minute and a half left, was dropping back, fading away, running to the 50-yard line, and basically throwing a Hail Mary where you can make the argument it was pushed off, but there was no receivers. There was no DBs other than
wide open.
The one, and he misplayed it because the ball was floating, and he ended up being Cole Kmet ended up being wide open in the end zone.
Yeah, sets up the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship this weekend. I believe both games are on Sunday. New England -5.5 going to Denver. The Rams getting
that number is going to grow as the week gets.
Yeah, and the Rams going to Seattle. The Rams are getting 2.5. Those teams have played 2 games this year. Rams winning 1, Seattle winning one of the most epic games you'll ever see with controversy and everything else. Sam Darnold, Rams have been his kryptonite. He has 6 turnovers against him this year. He had 4 in the playoffs last year. So whatever the Rams do on defense has given him problems. Charbonnet, one of the running backs for Seattle's out for the season with a knee injury that he had that happened during the 49er game. So Walker will be the horse there. And God, he looked good Saturday night. But those 2 games this weekend,
I think they're evenly matched. The Rams defensively, I think, can get after Sam Darnold, and they have, as you point out. That'd be interesting. I know we can talk about that a lot.
Yeah, we'll talk about that Friday.
You get to Friday, but just as you look into this game, there's going to be one deciding factor to me, right? Home field is going to get Seattle some points. Blah blah blah. It's maybe a 3.5, 4-point spread. I'm sure we can maybe get Steve Merrill to talk about that game. As well, one of our handicappers, and he's just great at what he does, the analytics and the numbers and those type of things. But if you just look at those two names, Sam Darnold, Matt Stafford, right? And you're saying everything else is equal, who you taking?
I mean, I'm taking Stafford, but I'll tell you this: I'm taking
game,
Seattle's defense over the Rams any day of the week.
Well, we'll see, because they've scored 30 points twice on it.
I was gonna say, and by the way, the last time they played, the Rams had 536 yards against them. So yeah, I mean, but I still would take Seattle's defense.
I'm taking Puka Nacua,
but that game,
and I'm taking Sam.
That game to me is by far the two best teams left in the playoffs. So it should be a hell of a game. And those teams don't like each other, so we'll have a good Sunday, hopefully, of games.
I swear to you, I really thought it was going to be Rams-Bills in the Super Bowl. I thought I'd picked it again. I think I called last year with the Eagles. I thought the Eagles still, I mean, this year had a chance, obviously not, but the Rams, I think, and I've been saying it since week one, are the best team left in the NFL, and I think they're going to show that again on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm picking right now, the Rams will be my leader in the clubhouse. Now let's switch to tonight's game.
The
one that we've been waiting for. It seems like they've been off for 2 months, even though it's only been a couple weeks. But the Indiana Hoosiers -7.5 playing the Miami Hurricanes.
Well, some people have it at 8.
Yes,
8.5.
It's going up and down for sure.
DraftKings is 8.5
in Miami. So Miami's traveling a couple miles to the game. Indiana, we've seen them so far in every playoff game they've been in own the crowd. They're traveling, and from all the reports this morning, they're everywhere again today.
They're going to own this crowd as well.
Mendoza.
I know that there's a lot of people saying that. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you, but I know there's a lot of people saying, well, it's a home field from. Listen, I'm telling you right now, having played Miami, having known, they've been one of the teams that I've loved or hated, right? They are not going to, they are fair weather fans. There'll be some fans there for Miami for sure, but this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to say, I've been there for the very first one, with Indiana.
Yeah.
If you're a Hoosier fan, or if you lived in that state, there's a lot of pride in the Midwest, as you know, but you're spending and paying you're selling cars to go to this game. If you have a son to show and share that experience with.
No doubt.
And so are they.
No question.
There's going to be a sea of red. Right? It's going to be a home field advantage for the Hoosiers. They're going to be 3-1 on the Hurricanes. Hurricanes have had championships. They've had success. They don't even believe that they're the best team they kind of snuck into the playoffs. Once they're in, they're a dangerous team, but they're not what Indiana is.
Well, I'll tell you what, and we'll dive into some of these numbers. We all know Mendoza, the Heisman winner, All-American kid, kind of goofy, kind of nerdy. But I think anyone that watches this kid play and hears him interviewed, you would be very proud if your son turned out to have the character and the ability this kid has. Just in the playoffs alone, 86% completion percentage, 8 touchdowns, and only 5 incomplete passes in the games. He has more touchdown passes than incomplete passes.
And this is in the playoffs against
really good teams, and no interceptions, and a great leader. This whole team, we talk about Signetti, we talk about the team. Miami's offensive line averages around 330 pounds on the offensive line, where Indiana's D line averages about 275. So, look, Miami's got big boys on both sides of the.
You know who else had that at same average?
Probably when you play Miami.
No. Well, yeah, I mean, no, but Alabama. Yeah. Alabama, the team that they beat by 40. Ohio State.
When they beat them in the Big Ten championship.
They beat, with the field goal.
No doubt.
There's been teams that have said this about this defense all year long. Everybody's going to look at the matchups and the size and then look at Miami and how big they are. I also watched what Notre Dame did to them. I also watched Notre Dame, run around, them and make plays.
Last year.
Miami's defensive line, different story. I mean, these guys are hunters. They will find a way to get to Mendoza. And that may be the challenge, in this game, as we'll get to that. But right now, if you're talking about the offensive line from Miami, they're big physical guys. But Indiana has seen those types of players all year long. They're battle tested. They have played the best offensive lines in the game. They played, some of the worst. They played some of the best defenses in the game. They played some.
Well, I mean, to me, Ohio State by far had the best defense in the country this year, and Indiana beat them.
Well,
and Miami has a really good defense, but it ain't Ohio State. And so I think
Miami's defense is every bit as good as Ohio State's. And we've said,
I wouldn't say that.
Well, I said at the second week of the season when they beat Notre Dame.
I wouldn't say that.
That team is the Miami team of old, and they've proven that's the reason why they're still playing. It's not because of Carson Beck. He has 29 touchdowns. They have a nice little fun offense. They run the ball hard. They have a big offensive line. But the reason why they're here right now is because of their defense, period.
Well, their defense, listen, their defense has played lights out. I mean, even last game when they had a couple corners go out and they had to put freshmen in, they balled and played well. You know, there's NFL players. I mean, their offensive line for Miami has 2 first-round picks. Their defensive line probably has 2 first-round picks with Messidor and Bain. And you mentioned Carson Beck. You know, the kid's been in college for 24 years. He graduated 2 years ago from what he said the other day, which I thought was pretty funny. He's living
class. What's
he's living
that?
a
I've
life.
graduated for 2 years.
Dude's getting $4 million to play, and he has doesn't have to go to class. I mean, hell,
in Miami.
Yeah, he's living the life. I'm surprised he doesn't try to get another year.
Did you hear his girlfriend? You know, kind of give him the late night dial.
Yes, he posted
honey,
that. If that was
honey,
real, I did see that.
Honey,
the Cavender twin or whatever.
Yeah, hey honey, I'm back. I was just kidding, but I really do love you.
Yeah, well,
now that he has the spotlight and the championship,
and he does. And listen,
it's funny how that happens, isn't it?
It sure is. In big games, if you look at Carson Beck against rated teams, he has a stellar record. And against Ole Miss, he was 23 for 37, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. The spotlight is going to be on him tonight because everyone, we've seen what Indiana does to the opposing quarterbacks. Hell, against Oregon, the first play of the game, they pick 6 it. They create turnovers. They thrive off creating turnovers. And so if you're Miami, not only is Fletcher going to have to run the ball, and in the playoffs, he's run the ball like a freaking first-round pick, but Beck's going to have to secure the ball. We saw it even yesterday with the NFL playoffs. If the quarterback secures the ball and you have a good defense, you should stay in the ball game.
Let me give you the difference between – as a coach, I view these 2 defenses, right? Miami, better players, no doubt. Better players on Miami's defense, more athletic, bigger, faster, stronger, undisciplined. Undisciplined defense. Why? They lead the team. They lead the ACC in penalties.
Yep, they had 10 last game.
They had 10 or 11 last game. Were able to overcome it just because they were superior athletes. Indiana's defense, maybe not as good, maybe not as big, maybe not as fast, but they're disciplined.
Yeah, they're in the right spot.
They're fast. They play team defense. They don't make mistakes. They're tenacious. They swarm to the football, and they will have 8 or 9 guys. Watch tonight when anybody catches the ball. If they're on the ground, they're going to pop up and pursue, right? It's everything you look for as a coach that you teach your defense to be that is going to play good team defense. They do it better than anybody in the country. Cignetti has them on board. He has them bought in. And that type of defense, when one guy hits, there will be 3 guys coming.
Yeah.
That wears out offenses. They start fumbling the ball. They start, feeling the pressure. They know they're going to get hit multiple times. That ball carrier, when he gets stood up, there's 3-4 more guys coming.
Yep.
Right. And just you'll watch the difference in how they rally to the football. And they get to where they're supposed to be. They're always in the right position. And if they get whooped one-on-one, things are going to happen. There's going to be 3 or 4 more guys ready to make a play. You're not going to make big plays against them, most likely. And
Beck really doesn't throw the ball downfield.
Well, they throw those little
often.
slot screens to the dynamic.
Well, to Malachi Tony, who's one of the guys I want to talk about because that kid is unbelievable.
He is unbelievable. You watch how hard and how many.
18 years old. He should still be a senior in high school.
That 18-year-old's going to get anointed. Coming tonight about 7:45 when they kick the ball off and he gets his first touch. He's going to get hit by about 4 different guys in 4 different directions. And don't be surprised if he gets one of those coughed up when you have 3 or 4 guys coming from the side.
Well, he had fumble in the first playoff game and then redeemed himself with a touchdown to win it. Last game, 5 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. But this kid is fun to watch. You compared him to Tyreek Hill, and I think that's a hell of a comparison because the kid runs like a
his stop start is incredible. He changes your eyes when you see him catch the ball. He can stop, go up the field, get sideways, lateral. He is a guy that is hard to tackle with one guy. For sure.
Yep.
Right. And they try to isolate him on those little quick screens. Carson Beck throws those very well. They get the line going out there. Kind of those tunnel screens that they have. He's coming back. He's almost like a kick returner in space. He'd be a hell of a kick returner at the next level.
Well, he does punt.
And that's where he's a Steve Smith type of guy. Finds holes and goes out there and make plays. Very similar to what Tyreek Hill did.
And they line him up everywhere. He also can throw the ball. I mean, I think he has 9 throws this year.
Just a great athlete.
His senior year in high school, the quarterback for his team got hurt. So for the playoffs, he played quarterback and won the state championship. So this kid is special. Can't even come out to the NFL for 2 more years. If he could come out this year, he'd be a first-round pick, no doubt about it.
Panthers, that's the type. He's exactly the type of players the Panthers.
That's exactly what I was alluding to. I mean, so you have to wait a couple years, but this kid is a stud. On the other, and then Fletcher, their running back, who had a solid year during the season, but in the playoffs, he's taken it up a notch. He runs hard. He runs aggressive. Another good
they have
kid.
Frisbee catching dogs for sure.
They do. Daniels is a good receiver. He's the one that made the one-handed catch against Notre Dame earlier in the season. And then on the other side, Elijah Surratt, 15 touchdowns this year as a receiver. Him and Mendoza have a hell of a chemistry. He's the guy that I would love to see the Panthers maybe look at in the second or third round. He can run. He's explosive. He's tough. He's strong. Like I said, 15 touchdowns this year. So
I know he's their dynamic player, but he's not their go-to guy. Their go-to guy is
Cooper. He's good too.
He is their go-to guy. There's a relationship with him and Mendoza. They're roommates forever. In big games, in big moments, where's the ball going? It's gone to him every time. What has he done? Come up with the play. He did it against Penn State on the sideline. He did it last game on the sideline in the end zone. The guy just finds what he reminds me so much of Ed McCaffrey, that played for the Broncos, Christian's father, that just when he was at Stanford, just finds a way to come up in the biggest moments and be there and make those plays. He is Mendoza's go-to guy he is the Puka Nacua for this Indiana Hoosier team.
And if you look at Indiana as well, they kind of do running back committee with Black and with Hemby. Both guys tend to get around the same amount of carries. Both guys are explosive. Hemby had over 1,000 yards. He's more, I think, of probably a breakaway tough runner, but if you watch this Indiana team, they have talent everywhere as well. It's funny when you put in prop bets, like I know you and I like to do, and you look at TD bets and you're wanting to take one of the running backs for Indiana. It's a coin flip,
right?
Because
you don't know who's going to be.
You don't know who's going to get the ball, or they sub them in so much. But yeah, a lot of talent, a lot of Sunday talent in this game tonight. The weather is a little chillier than people thought. I think today, before we started the show, it was 58 degrees there, so a little cooler. But still, weather will be just fine. No rain.
It is going to be perfect football.
The crowd's going to be fired up. Miami. If you watch all the shows on ESPN or wherever you watch, the people are already in the streets. They're tailgating. They're raising hell. You hear Hoosiers all over the place. You see people walking around giving the U everywhere. What's
McAfee's going to be there?
They're all there. And another interesting side story to this is that Fernando Mendoza grew up 5 miles within 5 miles of the stadium in the Miami University. His father played at Miami with Cristobal, the head coach of Miami. So, and Miami didn't even offer the kid a scholarship or anything. He goes to Cal.
Oh, he's a late bloomer. If we're honest, no doubt. Even when he was at Cal, he didn't have dynamic numbers. There has been something that the light has turned on and the game has slowed down. I don't know if that was the teaching moment that he got with a coach to say, this is how it goes, or it's just sometimes Steph Curry is going to take a little longer before Davidson passes him by, right? And he finds out that, hey, this guy's a diamond in the rough. Why is he at Davidson, right? Mm-hmm. If the transfer portal was around when Steph Curry was at Davidson, he would have been the highest paid player in college basketball. He'd have been at Duke. He'd have been at Carolina. He would have been at Kentucky, whatever school was going to offer him the most amount of money, to go there. And, that's where Mendoza is. Mendoza is just a late bloomer. He's come along, and the guy just doesn't make mistakes.
He doesn't, man. I'm excited about the game tonight. And again, the spread I see right now 7.5, but it has been bouncing around. It's time for you and I to make our picks. This game again could go either way. I do think with all the athletes on this field, both teams seem to be very well coached. We know that Cignetti's a great coach, and Cristobal's done a hell of a job. So I think both teams are going to be well coached and fired up for the game. Indiana laying 7.5 points. Who you got?
I'm going to look at these numbers against some of the best offenses in college football against Oregon. Oregon, I think, is one of the better colleges. They gave up 20. The first time against Ohio State. Ohio State has a pretty good offense.
They only scored 10, right?
They scored 10.
Yep.
All right. You look at, let's see, Oregon the second time, 20. Notre Dame, 9. It's just They don't give up points. Miami isn't going to be able to score, over 20 points, in my opinion. Even with Malachi Toney, even with the weapons they have, even with the running game, their best chance is to slow the game down, make it a war, and win, or at least have an opportunity at the end, very similar to what the time they played Ohio State when it was a 13-10 game. If they can do that, Miami has a chance to win and keep it close. I don't think they're going to, because I think Fernando Mendoza and their offense, there's just too many weapons. Turnovers. If Miami's going to, want to have an opportunity, they're going to have to create pressure with just rushing 4 guys. They can do that.
Yeah, they're 2 defensive ends. One's a player of the year in the ACC, and the other one's first team All ACC. So they do have 2 of the best defensive ends in college football.
There's no doubt about that. And these tackles are going to get challenged. These running backs are going to have to stay in the block. Cignetti's going to have a game plan to be able to adjust and adapt if they are starting to get pressure, whether it's quarterback draws, whether it's screens, whatever it might be. But the discipline of Indiana, I think, will outlast the undisciplinedness of Miami. They're going to make more plays. They're going to methodically move the ball down the field. They just execute at the highest level when the biggest amount of pressure's on. I like Miami. I like Indiana in this one, and I like them 27-10.
Wow. All right. Well, I've been going back and forth because, I saw what Miami did against Ohio State in the playoffs. I saw what Miami did against Notre Dame, who, I think was one of the better teams in the country, even though that was early. I've seen what Indiana has done to Oregon and really to everyone they played, Alabama.
Anybody they've played.
But I do think that this Miami team has a few things that, for instance, Alabama didn't have. Number one, they got a running game. Alabama had no running game. I think that the defense that Miami puts out there with that defensive line. Now, the interesting thing is those 2 defensive ends, Bain and Messidor, really were no-shows against Ole Miss. You never heard their names called the whole game. I don't think that'll happen 2 games in a row.
Throwing the ball quick doesn't allow defenses to get home.
Yep.
Doesn't allow when you're throwing the ball on time, which Mendoza does.
Yep.
If you're holding the ball, excuse me, in the ACC with lackluster quarterbacks, that you're playing, that don't have the ability to dissect you, that can't diagnose defenses, know where to throw the ball right away, those defenses are going to get home. But when you are able to execute in time and timing, running the ball, throwing the ball, defenses are null and void.
Yeah.
Or at least their stats will be. They can still have impact.
Right.
You're not going to run the ball against them, but or hold the ball and maybe throw the ball deep. But that's what max protect is for, and that's where you put those guys, those receivers, 1-on-1, and you just eat if you're Indiana.
Well, there's 2 ways that as I was making my pick, there's 2 ways this game's going to go. It's going to be a repeat of the Oregon game where Indiana gets out early, and then Carson Beck has to start throwing the ball downfield, make plays, which is where he gets in trouble and turns the ball over, and Indiana's going to run away with it. Or Miami's going to be able to do what you said, which is keep Indiana's offense off the field, run the ball, muddy it up. They're going to have to limit the penalties. Beck's going to have to take care of the ball. And if that happens, I do think this could be a game that's going to come down to the wire. And getting 7.5 points to me is a lot of points in the national championship game. So I'm taking Miami, which, by the way, I hate doing because I'm going to be rooting for Indiana.
I feel so much better now.
Oh, I know. I've been so cold in football. It's not even funny.
I feel so much better about my pick.
But I'm going to take Miami plus the points. And I think this we're going to see 27-24.
You think
Indiana?
Nobody has scored 24 points on them in big games.
I also think.
What makes you think Miami?
I also think that maybe, and again, this could be totally stupid for me to even think, but I also wonder. Like, it just seems like Mendoza can't be this damn good. Like, he's got to be due to throw an interception. He's got to be due to do something because the kid's been perfect.
You know who else they said that about?
I mean, you could name probably
Tom Brady.
Yeah, you could name many of them.
They said that about Peyton Manning.
No, you can say that.
They say that about?
No question.
Andrew Luck in college.
But I don't ever remember any of the quarterbacks you just mentioned. Definitely not in college, where they've thrown more touchdowns and incomplete passes in over 3 games. I mean, the kid's been perfect. 82% completion percentage, for Christ's sake.
Here's the thing, DJ. He doesn't have to be perfect to win.
That's true.
I mean, Indiana is good enough. They're the number 1 or 2 defense in the country.
Yeah, no, you're right.
As good as, and they're not playing, Wake Forest. They're not playing Duke. They're not playing Carolina. They're not playing these butterball ACC teams to be that good. They're playing They're playing Michigan. They're playing Ohio State. They're playing Oregon. They're playing Washington. They're playing top teams in college football with their offenses, and they're still that good.
But Miami in the playoffs beat Texas A&M, damn good football team at Texas A&M, hard place to play. Ohio's
quarterback average, can't throw the ball from the pocket.
Ohio State. Then they beat Ole Miss, who has
Ohio State was an incredible win.
And then they beat Ole Miss, who has one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the country in Chambliss. And so
without their head coach,
and they kept fighting and win the game. So the way that they played these last 3 games, something happened after they lost.
They had a great road. They had a great road to this championship. I mean, they played the perfect matchups for them to.
I mean, I wouldn't say having to play at Texas A&M and then having to play Ohio State, last year's national champion, and then having to play Ole Miss, who was scoring on everybody and just beat Georgia. And I don't think that's a great road. I think that's a tough ass road. And I think that as much as I can't stand Miami, they've earned my respect, and I think they have a shot tonight. Now, like I said,
does it make you wonder what would have happened if Notre Dame got in?
Yeah, it did, because I think Notre Dame was a much better team at the end of the year than they were at the beginning. They had their corners back. I can go on and on about that. But, yeah, it does make me wonder, like, how would have Notre Dame played if they did this? I mean, who knows? But at the end of the day, I've definitely thought that. You know, could Notre Dame be playing tonight if they would have got in? Yeah, maybe they could have been, but they didn't get in. And Miami did get in and have beaten 3 damn good.
The reality of it is they should have both got in.
Oh, yeah. And listen,
that's the reality.
And I know we only have a few minutes, but this offseason in college football and the NFL is going to be really interesting, because in college, they're going to have to do some things to try to, get this NIL stuff under control. And in the pros,
it's not going to be an overnight fix.
Not an overnight, but there's things they can change, like the scheduling of when you can do the portal. They can change that this offseason.
The workings of the timing, the schedule, and things like that.
Which would be a big start.
When you start talking about the portal and NIL and that I don't even know how the way the cliche to say that shark has jumped the tank, however you want to say it.
Yeah, well, I think
that Pandora's box is open. It's not closed.
By addressing the schedule, that would by itself be a win as a start, right? That would be help. And then the NFL, we talk about how bad the officiating's been. Well, their contract's up, so the NFL has a chance to do some things. I think we've already said Sean McVay's on the rules committee or whatever they call it in the NFL. There's definitely going to be some changes to replay, and I think they're going to open up more what you can, which I think they should. There has
to be more than that, though, DJ. These guys, for as much money as these players are making, have got to become full-time referees.
Yeah, 100%.
They can't be half-time referees. There has to be some sort of criteria. There has to be some sort of punishment, or if they're blowing calls, right? I mean, and I know that's part of the game. But with replay and with the involvement with Vegas, it is putting a bad light over this league right now. And I think there's a lot of people that are getting turned off by that. And it's becoming what I think the NBA has become. Next thing you know, they're going to be having drafts behind closed doors. They're going to be having, there's just too many coincidences that look like Vegas is involved, and the point shaving or the referee's involvement when one is a catch and the other one's not. When this is a fumble and the other one's not. There's just no consistency with what is being said, and that has to change if this league is going to continue to advance and survive.
No doubt. And I think both off seasons for college football as well as the NFL should be interesting when it comes to those things, because there's a lot to clean up, and God knows they need to. Enjoy the game tonight. Again, 7:45. I think they say 7:30 after the anthem and all that.
Kickoff 7:30, but it'll
be about 7:45.
Probably won't be about 7:40.
And before we go, thanks to Big D. And I also want to just give a little credit real quick, because we haven't talked a whole lot of Hornets basketball this year, but man, when they're healthy, they're fun to watch. And they beat the Lakers on the road. They whooped OKC on the road. They whooped Denver last night on the road. And I just want to give them a little credit.
And then LaMelo is going to sit out 18 games.
He hasn't yet. And when they're healthy, their offense is top 3 in the league in offensive efficiency. And they are a lot of fun to watch. They're starting to get a little props around the league for being a young team. There's rumors right now they're an athletic young center.
You're calling for championship already.
No, I'm not even calling for the playoffs. I don't want the playoffs. I want them to get one more lottery under their belt and maybe get lucky and get Caleb Wilson from the Tar Heels. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. But anyway, I do want to give them a little bit of props. Again, enjoy the game tonight. We'll be back Friday. We'll recap this game tonight, and we'll talk about the playoff games this weekend. Have a good one.